Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another installation of Still Boxing. I'm your host, Guy McKinnon, and I have a question for you. Will Joseph Parker become a two-time world heavyweight champion, or will Daniel Dubois continue to raise hell by adding to another devastating knockout to his record on February 22nd as part of Riyadh season? These two heavyweights will meet in the ring with something massive to prove. Now let's break this fight down. Let's look at some strengths and some weaknesses and see who has the edge in going into this crucial matchup. Now, let's talk about just some fighter profiles. We have Joseph Parker, the guy from New Zealand. He's 33 years old, record 35-3 with 23 KOs. He's 6'4". He has a reach of 76 inches. Now, Parker's been on a bit of a tear at the moment, and lately he's changed his training regime, and these results speak for themselves. With wins over Deontay Wilder, Zhang, Big Bang Zhang, has put him right back into the mix of these top-tier heavyweights. He's always had hand speed and solid fundamentals, but lately he's shown improved stamina, smarter tactics, and a greater ability to avoid those big shots. For example, against Wilder, he didn't just survive, he controlled the fight, countered effectively, and made Wilder simply look one-dimensional. Now, Daniel Dubois. This guy is causing some dramas in the scene right now. He's 26 years old. He's a record of 22 wins, 2 losses, and 21 KOs. He's currently standing at 6'5" and 78-inch reach. Now, Dubois is a powerhouse with 21 knockouts and 22 wins. This power is undeniable. Since the loss to Usyk, he's been on the rebuild, securing some solid wins, but the real question is, has he evolved enough to beat someone as experienced as Parker? Now, 2 fights ago against Filip Hrgović, it raised some concerns about his defense to myself. He took a lot of clean shots, but he showed an incredible chin in the process. That being said, his biggest weapon is the brutal jab, and since that Usyk loss, Dubois has sharpened that jab into a blunt force trauma weapon. Now that sets up his power punches. Let's not confuse it. Dubois hits like a freight train, and he looks like he's been carved out of stone, but power alone isn't enough to win against that high IQ fighters. His recent opponents have been haven't been the most elusive fighters. Jarrell Miller is basically a walking fridge, not exactly a defensive genius. Filip Hrgović is a solid all-round fighter, but he's not the most dangerous guy in the division. Doesn't move the needle that much for me. And Anthony Joshua. Now, Anthony Joshua is a gun, of course. He's aggressive, he comes forward, but he came forward a bit too reckless, which played into Dubois' strengths. Now, Parker isn't Usyk, alright, but he's far more mobile and technically sound than the guys Dubois has been fighting. He picks his shots better, doesn't waste the movement, and knows how to set up attacks with intelligence rather than brute force. He also has that much improved gas tank, something that was a liability in the past, but has also looked much better in recent fights. Now, against Wilder, Parker needed to be perfect, and he was very smart. He avoided the big right hand, he countered when needed, and he controlled the pace. The same does not apply to Dubois. He doesn't need to fight a flawless fight to win. Unlike Wilder, who could end the fight with a single right hand, as we know, Dubois relies more on setting up those brutal power shots. Parker has more room for error in this fight, as long as he sticks to the right game plan. Now there's the movement and the footwork. Dubois' biggest weakness, his upper body movement. He has a very stiff upper body and isn't the most dynamic on his feet. Those big muscles add power but take away the fluidity. If Parker moves well, controls the pace, and forces Dubois to chase, he could pull away in those later rounds. Now, some punch resistance is a key factor. Parker's shown a solid stoic chin, but Dubois has real knockout power. And unlike Wilder, who relies entirely on the right hand, Dubois can hurt you with a variety of punches. His timing isn't quite the level of, say, Zhang, Big Bang Zhang, but it's good enough and it can be a problem, especially in the early rounds before he potentially gets tired. That leads me on to stamina in those late rounds. Dubois tends to slow down in the later rounds. We've seen this before. His size and power work against him when the fight drags on. If Parker survives the early storm, he he could start picking Dubois apart as the fight progresses. Parker has fought the best. Joshua, Ruiz, Wilder, White, Chisora, or some of the top guys. He's been in the deep waters before, and he knows how to navigate a tough fight. Dubois, while talented, is still relatively inexperienced at the top level. Now, beating AJ was huge for this confidence, but Parker presents a completely different challenge. Now, some final thoughts here. Now, I don't buy into the idea that Dubois is overlooking Parker. His recent Usyk call-out, it's just marketing. Fighters do this all the time to keep their names in those big conversations. He knows Parker is a real threat. So who wins? If Dubois wins, it's likely by stoppage in the early to mid-round. His power is real, and if Parker isn't careful, it could be a short night. Now, Parker's keys to victory, if you will, is by decision or late stoppage. If Dubois slows down, Parker could take over, even force a stoppage if he lands enough clean shots late. I personally see this as a 50-50 fight. Dubois is young, hungry, and powerful, but Parker has the experience, the intelligence, the movement to make him a nightmare, and make this a nightmare fight. Now, I want to know. Let me know in those comments, who do you have winning this one? Do you see Dubois getting the stoppage, or does Parker prove that he's still one of the best heavyweights in the world? Thank you very much. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe if you do enjoy these fight breakdowns. Until next time, I'm Guy McKinnon, and this is Still Boxing.
Thank you for listening.